This is Mark Kermode. You're listening to Raw 12:51 AM.
Hello, you are listening to Raw 12:51 AM. It's your Head of Arts, Eddie Charles here. Now, Easy Rider, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Shining, Batman. I could go on and on. With an acting career spanning nearly 60 years, Jack Nicholson is one of the most versatile actors living today. He is also one of the most critically lauded, being the most Academy Award-nominated actor with a total of 12 nominations, including 3 wins. So it's no surprise to learn that he is in fact the focus of a film talk that's taking place at Warwick Arts Centre next month. Now I'm joined now by Dr Julie Lobalzo-Wright, a lecturer for the film department here at Warwick, who's actually giving the film talk. Hello, Julie.
Hello, thank you for having me.
How are you? Are you good?
I'm doing all right.
You just rushed from a lecture, haven't you? So a lecture on Bond, actually.
I did just rush off from Bond, left them watching Goldfinger.
Oh, that's a good film. Getting to hear Shirley Bassey's Goldfinger on the big screen would be
Well,
great.
I have to admit that I did stay to listen to that at least.
I did consider, because my seminar finishes just before, and I did consider just jumping into the screening to hear the theme tune and then leave. But
you could actually hear it bellowing through the halls.
Oh, I missed that side because I was in a different room. Oh. Anyway, so you are here to talk to us about this event happening at Warwick Arts Centre. So I think, first of all, could you tell us a bit about what the event is and what it consists of?
Well, it's a film talk, which is something that the Arts Centre tends to have maybe once a month. And this is a point where someone is invited, they talk about whatever the subject is. With this one, it's obviously a star, and show some clips, and then a little bit of a break, and then we watch a film. And there's an opportunity afterwards to talk a little bit about the film if we want. It's a great way to spend a Saturday.
It certainly is. So we obviously mentioned it's about Jack Nicholson. So I guess, why Nicholson? I mean, I've mentioned I might have already said in the beginning, he's got a very diverse filmography. But why Nicholson and why now?
Well, he turned 80 last year, so it's kind of celebrating his birthday a little bit. He's still making films. He hasn't made a film really since 2010, but there's still always the idea that he might come back and make something again. So there's a longevity there with Nicholson over the 60 years.
Is it Jack Nicholson who's been said about starring in the remake of Tony Erdmann with Kristen Wiig?
Yes. I think he signed on to do that.
Yeah, because I noticed when looking at his filmography for this, you're right, like since the 2000s, he's not really done a massive amount. Like, he's kind of very selective in what he does.
And it's not surprising for someone that reaches that age. It's not just female stars in Hollywood that slow down a little bit. Male stars do too.
He deserves to have a life, I guess. It's a very tiring, full-on career, isn't it?
Well, he has a lot of time to spend watching the Los Angeles Lakers. So,
is he a big sports?
Oh, he's a very big. He's a staple there at the Staples Center, actually.
Oh, wow. So you think it's because it was his 80th? First of all, what is your favourite Jack Nicholson performance? I'll go with that first.
Well,
because there are so many, as we were saying.
There are. I think he's really great in 5 Easy Pieces. I think it's a really, really interesting film. It's an interesting performance. It kind of has everything that you expect from Nicholson, and I think it's the first one where everything came together for him. Because one of the things that's interesting about Nicholson is that everyone thinks that he kind of maybe just came on the scene and was really successful. He actually was in Hollywood for a good decade. And he wasn't just an actor. He also wrote. He actually is one of the writers of Head, the Monkees film.
Really?
Yes. And he was someone who got his career started by Roger Corman, who's a fascinating figure in Hollywood, making a lot of B films in the 1960s when Hollywood the studio system was kind of collapsing. So he kind of came up making these kind of B films, and the first film that I think really kind of cemented him as this actor, and this actor of that generation, was 5 Easy Pieces. So I think that one's really great. It has him, he's kind of tragic, he's a anti-hero, he's selfish, he's giving, he's romantic, he's all of those things in that film. So I think it shows these contradictions that Nicholson has. At the same time, I would always say wonderful things about Terms of Endearment. Oh. I'm a great fan of that film. I'm a great fan of his performance in that film. I think he's playing with his image in that film a lot. He's the aging Lothario, and I think it shows how giving he can be as an actor. We think of Nicholson as having these huge moments in films, like you think about The Few Good Men, and You Can't Handle the Truth, and that whole long speech that he makes. But he also can be a really giving actor and can really work with other actors and allow them to have space. And there's some really beautiful moments between him and Shirley MacLaine in Terms of Endearment that I just...
I've yet to see Terms of Endearment. It's a film I've heard about.
He plays a former astronaut.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, because I'm trying to think, when you say Jack Nicholson, like, I've actually not seen many of the big films that I think he is known for. But one of the main ones for me that I know of him is as the Joker in Batman. So when you say about him being in Terms of Endearment, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't, she doesn't strike me as the kind of actor I'd imagine being in a film. Like,
it's one of the reasons why we picked Something's Gotta Give also, is that it's a romantic comedy, and you don't necessarily think of Jack Nicholson as being in romantic comedies, but he has been. And I think that he's an interesting figure in that he's one of those stars that came around when male stars weren't looking like male stars used to look like. And they were looking a little more ordinary, people like Dustin Hoffman and obviously Nicholson. But he had a great charisma. He was, he's known as a ladies' man. And so it makes sense to put him in some romantic comedies and romantic films because that was kind of happening off screen.
You mentioned there about screening Something's Gotta Give, and that is the film that is being screened. So did you make the decision to screen that film, or and if so, why? But if
there was a discussion about what we should screen, and we said, do we go with the obvious ones?
Yeah.
Also, we were thinking about it's a Saturday afternoon, and Five Easy Pieces is great, but it's destroying when you watch the end of it. There's just this moment that you're just sapped of any sort of optimism, if you will. So Something's Gotta Give is a nice one to watch on a Saturday afternoon. I also think romantic comedies still are not always considered as important, as significant. They're always downgraded. It's nice to show a film from a genre that I think is a great genre, has a fantastic history, female director. So there's a lot there that I think gives a little diversity than maybe going with the great films that we know of from Nicholson.
Well, you were saying earlier about your favourite Nicholson performances. Which performance do you think he will kind of be best remembered for? Because, I mean, like I said, as someone who maybe hasn't seen him as much of his filmography as obviously you have, I have quite a hard image of him. So the idea of seeing him in something like a romantic comedy is going to be really interesting. But so do you think he will kind of be most remembered for his kind of maybe tough, grittier roles?
I think he'll be remembered as McMurphy from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I think that is Jack Nicholson. He's such an anti-hero in that film, but an anti-hero that can resonate and still resonates. You watch that film and it's this character that's full of such life, and he's kind of rebelling against the system and this institution and trying to kind of give life to people who are, dulled into this terrible existence that they have in that hospital. And it's quintessential Nicholson. He kind of comes and upsets everything, but he upsets everything in a way that you root for him as an audience member. I think that's what Nicholson kind of does as an actor. And he is, there's a biography by him that's called Wild. I mean, that's a great way to think of him. He is kind of wild, but he's wild in a way that we all enjoy. He played kind of a devil character in The Witches of Eastwick in the 80s. And, it makes sense. He's this devilish character. So those films that I think show that are the ones that he'll be remembered. But he's McMurphy. I just can't believe it.
I think you're right. I think screening One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest would be a very different Saturday afternoon viewing experience.
I think it would be.
Than romantic comedy. So we'll move away from Nicholson for the moment. So you are no stranger to these talks. Last year you were on campus to give one about Kirk Douglas, who turned 100.
Who turned 100.
I know, incredible.
Still alive.
I know, we studied Spartacus last year, in first year, and it was so weird seeing a film from the 60s and this actor is still alive, going strong at the age of 100. It's pretty incredible. So you're no stranger to these talks. Which actor or actress would you actually like to do one on next? Or, do you think you deserves one of these talks?
I think most of the work that I've done has been on male stars. I love stardom. I've always loved stars. I think it's such an interesting subject area in film. People love stars. People have great responses to them. And they really reflect culture and who we are and who we are as a society. So I love that kind of importance that stars really have. People say they don't matter, but they really do. But I tend to have looked at male stars, so it might be nice to go and look at a female star. I mean, Something's Got to Give has Diane Keaton. Diane Keaton is a fantastic actress. I don't think she's ever gotten the due she deserves. She would be great. I do a lot of my research on crossover stars, music stars.
Yeah,
so
Will Smith is one, and Elvis Presley as well. I know.
Yes.
You tend to look at the work of a lot.
Justin Timberlake is one that I've written on, and he's going to be doing the Super Bowl halftime show now.
It's recently announced, actually.
Yes.
I've never really considered his acting. It's weird because you come into the era of stardom, you do kind of tend to if they're particularly crossover stars, I guess, you kind of, if they're something first and then an actor, you kind of tend to think of them as less. I mean, I think someone like Will Smith, from what I've seen him, is also a very good actor. But Justin Timberlake's acting in the films I've seen him in hasn't been particularly, taken my breath away in a good way.
Well, yes.
Maybe that's what your book was. Maybe it defends him and saying, actually, he's a good actor. Or
Well, I think, it's always hard to kind of define a good actor and not good actor. I think one of the issues with Timberlake is the roles. He is such a great song and dance man, a great entertainer.
People want to see him.
And yet, he's never really done a film like that. I mean, he could have been in La La Land.
Yeah, that's very true.
But, he hasn't done anything like that. So even something like Inside Llewyn Davis, which I think is a really great film.
Very good film.
And he's quite good in it, is a small role, but he's singing kind of folk music. So he's always kind of going against what we expect of him. And I think that's one of the reasons it hasn't quite worked.
So do you think there is a Oscar-winning performance in him for a drama that's just yet to surface?
I don't know. He's a good entertainer. That's the one thing I'll say about him.
He is very entertaining. I didn't think he could save Trolls, though, sadly, which I had really high hopes for because I love the music. I love Anna Kendrick. I was really excited for it, but no, that was a painful viewing experience with my niece.
I quite liked Trolls.
Oh, no. See, my friends ridiculed me because they were like, why would you want to see that? But I think good kids' films can, obviously, things like Toy Story, they go beyond as just the children. And so I kind of hoped Trolls would be like that. But no, sadly, that wasn't to be for me. So brilliant. So thank you very much for coming in to talk to us about it then. So I will be there and very much looking forward to this talk on Jack Nicholson. Hopefully I'll get to see you again to do one on Justin Timberlake maybe, or even a female.
I don't know about Justin Timberlake. I don't know if I could push that through at the Arts Centre, but it'd be great to do one with maybe some song and dance involved.
Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, so we have been talking about the life and career of Jack Nicholson, which takes place on Saturday the 11th of November at Warwick Arts Centre. Tickets are available now from the box office or the website if you want to go and get them. There's another film talk coming up towards the end of November focusing on the actress Gloria Graham to coincide with the upcoming biopic.
Yes, fantastic. With Annette Bening.
Yes.
A great actress.
I think Oscar Bell.
How she hasn't had an Oscar yet is beyond me.
That's very true. There are many actors that you kind of... I didn't personally realise Jack Nicholson was so lauded critically. I didn't realise he is he is the most Academy Award nominated actor.
Yeah.
But no, it's going to be an exciting award season, I think, hopefully, to see how things go. Thank you again, Julie, and hopefully we'll have you back on the show soon.
Thank you so much for having me.